Welcome back to another episode of Tesla to Mars. This is our 42nd already, 42nd episode.
No, you're counting, right? So
yeah, well, my counting is always off, but a lot has happened this
because
week.
On YouTube it says 50 something.
Yeah, let's
49.
Let's make it 100. A lot has happened. Let's spend this episode also on the previous presentation of the SpaceX, the road to making life multiplanetary. But before that, let's discuss a little bit of the news, what happened last week. I saw something which caught my eye about sales in Tesla from Tesla in Europe, because what we've seen over the last couple of months and weeks is that Tesla sales are down very much. But what I saw is, I'll put it on screen as well for everyone to keep track of. Tesla's actually up year over year in this month, 213% in total new vehicle registrations. So here you have, this is Tesla in the blue purple-ish. And am I saying this correctly?
This is only Norway, yeah?
This is only Norway, yeah. So Norway is a smart country. They're actually doing something good. After just 5 months, setting a new record for vehicle registration in 2025 in Norway.
Yeah, well, Norway is always leading the way. That's true.
Yeah.
So we will probably see this recovery in the sales numbers in other countries as well.
I've
seen another chart where they actually have the numbers for whole 2025 aggregated. And it also shows recovery. But
yeah, so that's a good sign for the European market that the anti-Elon sentiment is slowly fading away.
Does it has to do with the ramp of the Model Y in Berlin, which was a little bit off, and now they're speeding up that again? Or?
In the beginning, yes, but also you still see a lot of inventory on parking lots and also a lot of promotional offers with low interest rates and discounts on inventory models. So there are signs that demand for the new Model Y is weak or weaker than expected. But yeah, definitely in the first 2 to 3 months of the year, you see that big drop, partly to do with, of course, that big ramp up, which was a big feat of them to achieve, actually. Also interesting, what I've seen is, did you also notice that Tesla tried to file a trademark for the term Robotaxi?
No.
Well, they lost it. So they couldn't trademark CyberCab. They couldn't trademark Robotaxi. They tried again for Tesla Robotaxi just a couple days ago. So you see that they're ramping up for the Robotaxi launch this month.
Is that a trademark in worldwide, or is it for a specific region?
Good question. Let's hope Sawyer Merritt can give us a little bit more insight on that. It seems this is a US only trademark application.
Yeah, for me, this is like, there will many things be rolled out now. This is becoming a reality. They're late to the party doing this trademark, I think, but
quite late.
Yeah, but this is normally just not very much the focus of Tesla, the whole marketing thing, and they just want to be sure they focus on the product and the technology, and they're quite confident that will lead the way.
Yeah, and also not Elon's focus. Like, this is nothing to him. He just wants to get it done.
Yeah,
he wants to get those cars on the road. And do you guys also remember, there's another post from Sawyer here. I'll put it on the screen. But did you remember that mule, that you know what a mule is when a car's testing? They used the Model 3 for it, but with camera on different positions than the CyberCab. And right now there's this test mule vehicle that's still in use with
additional cameras.
Yeah, like on another different places than where it should be on the Highland, actually. But shouldn't they just wrap all their vehicles like this? Because I really like this color.
Amazing color.
Oh, this is a Model 3.
It's a Model 3, that they used for testing. And they are still using it for testing because it has the same placed cameras.
Well, at Mr. Green, you have a bunch of, Model 3s around, right? You can wrap them in whatever color you want.
They also wrapped the
roof.
glass roof.
Cool, right?
Can you show it again? I was already fooled. Oh, yeah, it's a Model 3.
Yeah, in the front, you clearly see it's a Model 3.
Yeah. Maybe you can launch the first CyberCab with Mr. Green in the Netherlands.
We have a scoop. Tomorrow there is a lounge.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam.
Yeah. That will be
if
fun,
you drive
right?
around like this, everybody will think it's
yeah, and maybe you just make a camouflage outfit that you have a full white suit that nobody sees you sitting behind the steering wheel.
The same color as the seat. And
Very minimalist driving.
Or you just hire a Roel van Velzen
First self-driving.
or me. A very small guy sitting like
the media is so stupid that they
Case
definitely
maybe we
will
can hire
fall.
you.
They will fall for this bait. So
I have this phone holder that I can put my phone behind my steering wheel. If I would do that there and have a direct feed, and I could be really low to the ground.
It remembers me of this video of this. I think it was Neo or Xpeng. They were showing their self-driving, and the car was actually coming in, and all these cameras were rolling. Whoa, it's coming! And then it parked backwards on its own, and then when they looked at inside, there was somebody sitting like this on the steering. Can you remember the video?
It was such a freaking scam, man.
That will be a great scoop for Mr. Green, right? And the media is so stupid, they will definitely fall for this bait. So.
If Xpeng does it, let's do it.
Don't want to sit on the chair of being the CMO of Mr. Green here, but
nope. But it's a very good idea. What I've also noticed, and that's something pretty cool. We all know Joe Tetmeyer. He frequently flies over with the drones from Giga, Texas, and I'll put it on the screen here because what you're going to see here is. Actually a completely empty parking lot of Giga Texas. Usually these are packed to the brim with Teslas waiting for deliveries or putting on transport. And it's now...
There's a semi.
Yeah, definitely. Spotting a semi here. Two
it's completely
Cybertrucks.
Empty. Okay.
Yeah.
So
then,
what does it mean?
Well, that's open to speculation, of course. We see here braking, but
new model.
Yeah. So a week ago, I've also seen some other spy shots of Joe Tetmeyer coming out of white Model Y with a blacked out rear and a blacked out front, and I thought, is it a shorter wheelbase? Is it maybe a two-door version of the Model Y? So is there a new, more affordable model coming out? The consensus on X is shifting towards that opinion as well, and also the people who are usually well informed. But what's similarly striking, if I have another post as well. Sorry for making this a fully on.
Let's go. Let's watch some TV.
Tesla North America official account. As I just said, there's a lot of offers out there, 2% interest rates, inventory discounts.
Yep.
And
a big push.
Yeah, a big push. And usually the deadline is at the end of the quarter. But here they released, this is, they did this today.
2 weeks.
So 2 weeks from now. Yep. Are we finally going to see the 2 weeks becoming a reality? But this is, I think this is very telling. This is a sign. This is
so why June 16? Because the launch date is June 12th.
Yeah, well, probably that has to do when the ramp, within that Giga Texas factory, there's also giant floors available to store cars. So it's a multi-layer building. because there's also test driving capabilities, and they can basically multi-purpose that area. So probably they're flooding now everything inside, and those will roll outside when they announce like a more affordable model that makes a lot of sense. So they just did the overhaul for the production facility with in mind two things. One, leveraging the strategies that they learned with the production of the Cybertruck, so the new technologies that are being deployed in there. So do you remember that grid from that shareholder presentation where they say like technologies within the Cybertruck that will be transferred?
48 volts, steer-by-wire,
And most of those technologies in the car, some of them are for improvement of just the quality of the car, let's say. So driving experience,
build quality,
all that. But many of those interventions are cost interventions. So one, those technologies will be installed in that new Model Y process. And second is that the learnings that they already have made with sort of the unboxing production, optimizations that they did, because the leap between now, let's say a Model Y coming off the production line every, let's say, 30 to 45 seconds. I think Shanghai is 35 seconds, Berlin and us a little bit behind that. But the CyberCab will be 5 to 6 seconds. So that's almost a 5 to 6-fold improvement.
Almost the speed of light.
Yeah, and they will transfer those learnings, or at least part of them, to the Model Y facilities that they have. So I think also Elon in his presentation of Starship, he talks about those 3 stages of iteration again. For developing a product. So the first wave is just sort of low volume production, ironing out all the things on the product. And then you have the second phase where more affordable models are being introduced.
Yeah.
But that third phase is also a relative new phase for Tesla, because it's just relatively short that we have a couple of things that are being rolled out on like, let's say, extreme scale, because we're talking about extreme scale. And not only the product is then fully developed, but also the manufacturing techniques are fully developed. And that is even more important. And we are seeing now a couple of waves. Cybertruck is now clearly wave 2.
Yeah.
And Model Y is now entering sort of the final stages of wave 3.
Yeah, but bridging that gap, because it's not entirely like that new unbox method.
Yeah,
but the hinges on it, so they're making that switch from phase 2 to phase 3.
Yeah,
right now.
It was already at scale, but they want to now bring it on hyperscale. Yeah. So it's on the end of stage 3 where all the new optimizations are being pushed in. You can almost say stage 4, which is the only product. But for example, you see Tesla Energy right now with their mega packs. They're now entering stage 3 with new factories being sort of roll out every couple of months. So it's very interesting to now hear Elon in interviews talking about this process of 3 stages again and again. And it's nice to just visualize yourself the whole product roadmap of Tesla and where they are in this in these growth stages.
And funny that you mentioned it. Well, not funny, but when I think of it, ironing out those first steps, I see that as, of course, like low volume was stage 1. That was the Roadster and Model S and X. And then phase 2 can actually be seen as the full deployment of Model 3 and Y. They've learned everything. And now we're making that switch. Would you say that phase 2 is a little bit later on than Model 3 or earlier?
No, phase 1 is, it's also good to look at, let me give 2 examples. So we have the Lathrop factory for energy. That was the first factory, right? We now have the first factory in Nevada for the semi-trucks.
Yeah.
This is the factory where all the R&D around the product and the manufacturing is happening.
Yeah.
And don't get phase one wrong. It's not like a bunch of prototypes and let's see what happens. This is already at a huge scale, right? Because the Cybertruck is already the best selling truck, electric truck in the market in the US, right? So the volumes are already there. But phase one is just building one factory. And the great thing about Tesla is they have a couple of factories where they have a little bit of multi-purpose. So in Texas, there's a bunch of things happening. But many
battery production,
many of the factories, or at least the parts of the factory, are very single purpose. So it's just Model Y coming out, or semis coming out, Cybertrucks coming out, all that. And what we then see is that that first phase they just bring the technology and the R&D happening at the same time. So we see the manufacturing people are working very closely with the product people. Because if manufacturing says like, listen, Kees, nice idea, but if you want to produce this at scale, this is a stupid idea, so we're not going to do this. And they work very closely together. So normally you have a design department, then engineering department, and then manufacturing department.
The idea goes from one end to the other.
Silos.
Back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and then it takes forever to come up with something. But Elon is a big fan bringing that together. And also in the Starship presentation where we just go into, he reiterates that. So we say, okay, the engineers are working together with the manufacturing people. Then phase two mostly goes to China. So that is the
Shanghai factory.
Shanghai, because the most of the manufacturing expertise is actually in...
And that's where Model 3 ramp up really came into force. Like all the first Model 3s were lesser quality and all made in Fremont. And then the big jump in quality came in Shanghai.
Yeah, and also then the blueprint for the factory was being presented in Shanghai. Yeah. But we also see that now. So the energy of Lathrop is now being transferred to China. So the new factory, which has a 3 or 4-fold output at the end of megapacks. And in China, they have the capabilities and the people to learn that at scale. So if you can remember Tom Tzu is being called the Chinese Elon. Yeah, he walks around in the factory there like a maniac.
Now VP, right?
But he moved back to China. In the beginning, it was like, okay, you're going to be sort of the one that leads the machine that builds the machine.
Yeah, the legend overseeing the new deployment of new factories.
You're going to implement that whole in the US. But they pulled back that idea a little bit and just say like, okay, we have certain factories that are R&D. We have R&D factory, then we have accelerator factory, and then we have the giant scale factories that are then being deployed. And every stage is already massive in scale. But now we're going to see for the first time what is going to happen when stage 3 is going to happen. And I think many people underestimate. Everybody thinks like linear, for example, with energy, like 1 factory, 2 factory, 3 factory, and that will be the line of deployment. But it's 1 factory, and then there's a next factory that has a 3x output or 4x output. And then the next factory will have like or a larger footprint or a way larger output that is then going to happen. Because every cycle, they learn a lot and they implement that in sort of the second stage. Yeah. And everybody just extrapolates like stage 1 or stage 2 and don't think about these kind of stages that are happening. And it's really fascinating to see that, for example, with Starship, they also have sort of that same methodology. And it feels like Elon is now becoming very disciplined in this approach, because in the beginning it was like open up that Giga factory. And then suddenly there was like, for example, Berlin and Texas were opened at the same time. And those were like cash burning furnaces, as he called it. Because then they took just way too much hay on their fork. So now they split it up.
Nice English.
Yeah,
it's Dutch. That's a typical Dutch proverb here, but
it's whatever, too much on your plate, basically.
Definitely.
But by doing all the things at once. And it looks like now they learn from that and has a more disciplined approach.
Yeah, but they already did that, like with Giga Berlin and Texas. Like you have specific phases that they build out this factory, right? They don't do it all at once.
No, not all at once, but the size of it was like very extreme, right? And Texas now becomes more and more like since more and more of the companies moving away from California, more and more the R&D center for Tesla, but still a lot of R&D is still being done in California. So those things are hybrid, but they're becoming more and more specialized within those disciplines.
And about other factories, but where's the new factory gonna be? Because we've heard Mexico a couple times. We've also heard India.
Yeah, Mexico was already started, but then pulled back.
Yeah.
So what I think what happened is Elon and Trump became buddies. And they basically made a sort of gentleman's agreement, like, I'm going to help you becoming the president of the United States. But then
job well done.
Yeah. But then Trump said, well, we cannot let it happen that you're going to manufacture in Mexico. So we need to deploy this within the US. And but that whole place. I'm suddenly awake. What happened? No, that whole place.
What were you talking about?
Tesla, Elon Musk.
Please go back 15 minutes and then do it all over.
Yeah. No, that's all fine. But
something
then,
about third iteration.
Yeah, third iteration. Your chair is a bit too comfortable, I think. And then but then that factory of in Mexico. If you type it in on the map, what the location is, it's just on the border of the US. So
also pretty close to Texas.
Yeah, very close to Texas. Monterey is the place, right? So
and I saw this popping up, Teslarati, that they're not at all interested anymore in Gigafactory India. Whilst I thought that would be a smart next step, building a factory, because the market is huge. The market for like a lower priced vehicle is also huge.
Yeah.
And you bypass a lot of these import and export tariffs.
Yeah, but apparently India is like a nightmare when it comes to tariffs and regulatory things and corruption and all that. And
hygiene.
I don't get it, because Elon is meeting with this Modi guy already for years. You have movies of him walking in the factory of Tesla already in 2016, 17. And years they're talking and nothing happens in India. So I think Elon is very keen on India because it's one of the biggest population on Earth and definitely one of the fastest growing economies in the world as well. But they're just very disciplined. They're waiting for the right moment. Affordable models, battery technology more developed. But India is not only probably a great market, but also a great place for talent, because many engineers are now coming from India, and the leadership team of Tesla has quite a lot of people from
at least
India.
They opened a store in Mumbai.
That's
to be opened.
Yeah,
I will be in Mumbai in I think in 60 days.
60.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll do a podcast out of Mumbai.
Sure.
Out of the Tesla store of Mumbai.
That would be awesome if you do a live session from the podcast.
Are you just like Brian Johnson
today?
How are you doing?
Don't talk about me like that.
Are you going to carry like a HEPA filter with you all the time, just like Brian Johnson did?
I'll be sitting in my Tesla for the whole day. Yeah.
For the whole day.
God, I love those.
Eating from a straw.
Eating.
No, I'm actually gonna travel through India. So
okay, cool.
For 4 weeks, do a lot of surfing, and trying to get some. I have some meetings with some people. They are also interested in Tesla and in Mr. Green, and so I will try to set up some business there.
They're saying like online because.
So if you want to meet me and you're watching, and you're in India, let's meet up.
That'll be in days, so that's late summer, August.
Yeah, so July, August, I will be there.
So, Mr. Modi, if you're listening, Florian is coming to India. Florian is one position below the Prime Minister here in the Netherlands, but there's actually more influence.
One handshake away.
One handshake away. No, would be great. I think it's there. I don't know the place in India, but there's apparently like a Silicon Valley equivalent of in India that is really like a place where many amazing companies are being built right now. So maybe a cool place to visit.
Let me know.
There's also a reason why a lot of developers tend to come from India.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there was a nice post last week as well with Ashok mentioning and Elon mentioning Ashok that he's already part of the AI team since 9 years. And maybe that's a nice...
Ashok was interviewed by an Indian guy lately. There was an Indian interview.
That was great. Yeah, in India.
I wanted to listen, but I wasn't able to.
Yeah, I haven't seen it as
well. Ashok is like super, super funny and super intelligent. But Ashok basically highlighted sort of how small that team in the beginning was and how crazy it was to sort of start this team and develop that kind of thing.
The whole Autopilot
team. And for me, what is one of the most Elon-ish bets that he is being executing on was installing all that hardware already for full self-driving, while the cars did not have the capabilities yet, only to sort of collect data and to learn. But if you think about, the company was sort of on the verge of becoming profitable, and then you install a computer that not all the clients buy. That's and it's in all the cars, right? Because even if you don't have don't buy the software, the hardware is in the car.
Big balls.
But that's just for me, it's so crazy because it's so not cost efficient. And if you then think about sort of Tesla being the only profitable company in the EV market while Elon was still placing computers in that, and maybe they sort of break even-ish with the sales that they have from FSD. But at the beginning, it was definitely not the case. So
and then like in the worst case, the data that it delivers and gathers is valuable.
It's worth something.
It's in and of itself, it's valuable.
It's more of a capex kind of investment, but still.
Yeah, still, it's a trillion. It's a multiple billions that you then already invest in compute. Already like 9 years ago, and we go into that Starship presentation in a bit.
Yeah.
But then also, if you then look at previous presentations that being held at SpaceX, and preparing for this podcast hours in advance, we saw this presentation of SpaceX in 2017 talking about making life multiplanetary, and for me that's really like everybody underestimates the strength of Elon.
8 years,
where
they make bets for 10 years in the future.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet because I was on a mountain for 5 days without phone, and I actually love it to not have a phone anymore, to not use it every day.
Yeah. I recently purchased a balance phone.
A what?
A balance phone, which is basically just a Samsung phone with an extra layer of hardware or software on it that just eliminates all the possible distractions that you can have. And I'm now utilizing it since a week.
Okay, cool.
But then I, of course, want to get my daily dose of Tesla in my veins injected. Yeah. But then I discovered like it's actually very pleasant to just sit down and put on like a presentation of Elon or one of the other people within the Tesla community and just watch it for now while you're doing work or so,
and not be distracted by another screen.
Yeah, making notes and just it's way more peaceful to watch television than to have
on
a
the
phone.
television instead of on this this small screen.
Yeah. And that's already a very pleasant experience. So you can actually
just like I believe 50% of our listeners or subscribers are already watching us on.
That was a fun statistic.
Fun statistic. If you look at the data of YouTube, that almost 50% watches our episodes on television.
And then I'm curious.
Comment television if you're a television.
Comment television if you're a TV watcher. And then I'm curious, like, is it because they opened it on their phone, streamed it to the TV, or just clicked and opened with the remote the YouTube app on the TV and then see what's recommended?
I think the second.
Yeah?
Yeah, because also there you see more and more your own profile. So it's just one profile that then gathers all the information and algorithm.
Yeah, but based on your viewing history.
So when you open up your YouTube app, you get the same sort of feed as your phone. So that's amazing thing, I think, to...
I'm going to start doing this tonight.
It's nice.
Well.
It's really nice. And also X got their own television.
But I haven't used it yet.
It doesn't work because I really wanted to watch that presentation on X on the TV, on the X app. So I downloaded it quickly and I have a very new LG high-end TV. But it didn't work. It just keeps on displaying X and then shuts off.
Okay.
So Elon, if you're watching, please take care of it.
Yeah.
And,
well, it's probably an underestimated platform then, and it makes a lot of sense that people are getting sick and tired of their mobile phone usage. I did this test, Florian. Maybe we can do this test with you now. I was watching at my average screen time.
You want me to grab my phone now?
Yeah. Can we both pull that on screen? I don't have my phone with me right now.
Well, my screen time is...
Let's open it up.
Well, you want to know my screen time?
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I had almost 5 hours on average screen time. And I had that realization already, but I felt, wow, I felt such a deviation in productivity. Some weeks I had like massive bursts of productivity, and some weeks not. And then I realized, well, it's obvious. It's just my screen time that just depletes my dopamine levels to the max.
Where do you find this?
If you pull down
Settings.
in your search and dan you need to type in schermtijd.
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 It's Dutch.
Well, some days when I'm...
So for me, average per day, it's like 5 hours.
5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, now this last week I averaged 6 hours and 16 minutes.
Yeah.
But there were some days that I averaged 8 per week.
Holy shit.
8 hours per day per week.
My
sleep 8
top
hours?
is X.
Yeah.
X is 41 minutes, then WhatsApp, 40 minutes.
I have a couple of hours of X.
Oh, but it's only today, sorry.
Yeah, so if I look now at my X usage, I do it on desktop. But less sort of reactive. So let's say what's on my feed, but then more proactive. Like, can I find topics for the Tesla podcast, or a bit more with the intention? And that helps a lot, because if you do that, you can find so much, that is useful.
Yeah. The X is getting out of hand for me as well, because I want to respond to people, and I want also to stay up to date. And also, like, every time I go to the shitter, I open Twitter.
Yeah, so I went to these mountains and I didn't have my phone with me.
Oh, so you were done in 2 minutes.
While going to the shitter.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, that's like
terrible. Shit posting.
I always do like, and I'm so curious what happens to that camera data, because sometimes like, and then you're sitting like this on your phone, and then if you need to pull up your pants, like you're going, but I hold my phone whilst playing video, so I don't know what Apple gets to see from me, but
probably everything.
Yeah,
probably a dark hole.
It's a deep dark hole. Okay, well, I think I want to end this
update.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute news section, but one positive note for Elon, because I'm getting pretty sick and tired of the constant hearing, like he's the richest man in the world and he's a billionaire oligarch. And I saw a post.
He's a fascist.
Yeah, like every single negative extreme.
You will say it's tough in Europe to be sort of having not following the narrative case, or do we have like a strong narrative here in Europe? Would you say?
We have a very strong narrative, and actually, I don't want to touch on this topic, but I'm gonna do it shortly. Sunday evening, a
documentary,
like news report or investigative hit piece aired about Autopilot in Europe and the role of the Dutch Road Authority. They tried to corner this guy from the RDW, the Road Authority. Luckily, he didn't like give in to that. But you visibly saw that he was like uncomfortable with some of the questions, and they really tried to do pointing the finger, like you did it once, you allowed it once, you're not going to do that again, aren't you? And I think
for what? For can you give some context?
The RDWs, the type approval, and they type approve not only vehicles but also software, and they played a vital role in type approving Autopilot. But back in the day, it was Mobileye. It wasn't even Tesla's own hardware. It was, and that was 2015, and we're 10 years down the line. And then they're discussing stuff that happened 10 years ago, but also discussing accidents from vehicles that have nothing to do with the vehicles that come out nowadays. I think the most recent crash they had was in 2022. And they blame it on being vision only. But that accident actually was caused because there was a discrepancy between radar and vision, and radar needs to always be the end decision maker. So they really tried to frame Autopilot as being defective malware and as a killing bot on wheels. No, like
they should have subtitled it. LiDAR is like a crutch.
Yeah, that's what they should have done.
Who do you think is behind such a documentary? Do you have any feel for that, or?
It's funnily enough, there was a show just before it, like a comedic news show. They ended with something about Tesla, so they are like coordinating this. Yeah, it's left-wing Dutch media.
Yeah, but do you think it's sort of Elon targeted, or do you think it's something else?
It's the timing is very.
We're on the brink of breakthrough of full self-driving,
and then
technology.
June 1st they're gonna release this hit piece, and he's finally,
of course,
he's finally going, and he's finally leaving like the Doge effort, and that was supposed to be like a celebratory event, and it wasn't because they framed him from every way. And now they're doing this.
It's also a misunderstanding that Elon is leaving Doge. His special contract is ended.
Yeah, but he's not leaving.
No, and he will remain advisor for 1 day in a week for the whole Trump thing. And they're still working on Doge initiatives. But
definitely, it's ongoing work.
Yeah, it's ongoing work. And he said it's becoming part of the culture of American politics, so it will grow stronger. Yeah. And have we ever seen Elon giving up on something?
Nope.
That just never happened. So I feel always very blessed.
It's all perception.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I feel very blessed that we, at least together in this room, we have about 30 years of experience of following Elon in interviews. So I can, say like, until the end result is being met, probably they're now doubling down on Tesla and growth of the GDP.
Watch your hand. Watch your hand.
Yeah, sorry.
What are you doing?
Jolt of GDP.
Don't enter the red zone.
Yeah,
you can.
I was orange,
and then you need to go
like this. No, but it's a nice bridge and good that you highlight that. Because are there any other remarks you want to make on that?
Yeah, well, this last one, because he isn't actually the highest paid. He actually got like almost he got $0 in compensations. He's one of the least paid CEOs out there. So that's also like just shed some light on this as well. Like, of course he's rich, he has enough money, but constantly blaming everything on being the richest man in the world, and as if that makes you inherently a bad
Evil.
actor.
No, but of
exactly
course.
that. Like you earn a lot of money, so you are evil.
Yeah.
No, you've
Well, in marketing, if you have marketing and you run ad campaigns, you need to find angles, right, to sell your product and to position those kind of things. And that's just what's going to
guys,
happen.
let's go to the positive parts.
To the good stuff.
Let's go
I
to
can't
the
wait.
positive part, because Florian, you were on the mountain and you missed
Yeah.
the SpaceX.
So please talk me through this. What did you guys see?
First, to pick up on Kees's previous thing about this documentary, and those are one of the pieces. And of course, we want to go to the positive. But I was watching this video about, or Elon's presentation about making life multiplanetary.
Yeah.
Right? Would you consider us, humanity, becoming multiplanetary a newsworthy thing?
Yes.
For sure. And
Yes, of course.
yeah.
So what they presented is the equivalent of the Ark of Noah of our time, right? If you think about it, because the odds of us humanity, the civilization, surviving while being on a second planet, the odds of us surviving, let's say, the next 10,000 years or 100 or 10,000 years has increased like with a huge fold, maybe a 20-fold or 30-fold. Elon puts in all his effort to make this happen, and he presented the plan how to do this. And then also previous week, Elon tweeted out or X'd out, like, you don't hate legacy media enough. And I was thinking about that tweet, like,
what does he mean?
Why is that? What are and there are hit pieces all the time, so that's nothing new. And then I thought, well, he's absolutely right in this. I had a couple of hours that I could not sleep because of this thought, because legacy media is basically committing a crime against humanity by not keeping us informed about this mission to Mars. And we are very lucky as humans that the X platform exists and that Elon and SpaceX can now stream this part. Because if you think about it, like, how much more newsworthiness do you want to have, right?
No, but if Jeff Bezos decides to send Katy Perry into like just the edge of the atmosphere, it's world news.
Yeah, it's world news. And then what is in the news all week? Elon is a drug user because his eye and he's got neck pain, and so it's very much out of context. But then,
I'm so glad I missed this. I went on the mountains.
Yeah. But I feel like,
does he have a blue eye?
Yeah.
Well, it was pretty. When I put it on and like I was watching it, like, dude, what the actual F happened to your eye? And like you see a clear bruise. Like, did he get punched or anything? And later on, he said that he had a like small like incident with X touching his eye, but also his hair on one side was like in this just out of bed look that he just like woke up from his nap
on the SpaceX factory.
Yeah, so that's for me living proof that he's actually doing the hard work again.
Yeah, but the those kind of stuff are like super not relevant, right?
Not at all.
It's total bullshit. So we get bombarded with total bullshit
focusing on the form,
by
not the content.
legacy media. While the real news and also positive news, right? Because it's super positive that we actually have odds now for the first time in 4.5 billion years that we can sort of leave this planet and build a new civilization on Mars.
When is that first window coming into 2026, right?
26. So
12 months.
Yes, it's September 26, something around there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to end off this whole stuff, legacy media is committing crimes against humanity by not informing us on this development of us getting to Mars. That's the whole point. And
here.
And of course, I don't need to convert you guys to the new media, but for me, it's like it needs to be so crystal clear. And I also feel that you think, well, they change, maybe they adapt to the new environment. So everybody still sort of leaves the door open to what the role of sort of legacy media has. But it's for 90%, it's just a propaganda machine. So they don't have the intention to inform us people. Let's be clear about that. They have no intention to objectively inform us about the events that are going on in the world. Otherwise, we should have seen that with this Mars presentation, because it's too big to ignore, but they ignore it, right?
And then each side ignores it. So each, both left and right.
Just all the legacy media and also all the related websites that are coming with hit pieces and all that.
Well, maybe it's not negative enough.
Huh? No,
it doesn't sell.
Maybe it doesn't sell or serve them.
It only sells hope.
It only sells if one of the rockets would have crashed.
Yeah, something like that.
And then he's a failure.
But then also
Wasn't there also a launch?
Yeah, definitely.
What happened to the launch?
It went pretty well, but not as well as they expected, right?
Yeah, I've not followed that launch very closely, so I cannot say much about that. But I think more and more people they are aware of that legacy media is that has no intention to contribute to your life whatsoever, and that line should be like more and more clear, and people should be more taking a hard stance on it. And I think Elon has enough as well, so he posted that. But also during his meeting with President Trump, he said. New York Times question, and it was a very funny interaction. Probably you have seen it, Kees, as well. And Elon said, "New York Times, yeah, you're just a propaganda machine, and you won the Pulitzer Prize for."
Oh, is it the same media that won the Pulitzer Prize
for the Russiagate?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically just kicked those guys out of the room, and that's just the only right reaction that you can have nowadays. So. In Europe, we're comfortably sleeping, of course, so that's not going to happen anytime soon here. The line is clear, and we should just totally abandon that whole legacy media.
So you're actually saying we should get more angry about this?
Yeah, because they're committing crimes against humanity by not informing us about the things that matter. And we saw that during the COVID period. It was just one-sided, one-size-fits-all news that you then have, and you can sort of play devil's advocate in that and say, well,
and never coming back on wrong
things.
Yeah.
So that's already clear for most people. But it's like we should realize that legacy media is like a sort of cocaine that is not useful for any sorts of what. So I always see a very clear distinction that people that follow legacy media, they live their lives in fear. While people that are more living independent media, they're living their lives more freedom.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss, is what they usually say, right?
This presentation has been, you will go through the presentation, but I think within the presentation, it will say that within 12 months, we will have our first attempt to launch and actually go
definitely.
to Mars.
So that's first coming back on what happened with the launch, is that the first part of it went pretty well. And then in the upper stage, something went wrong with those tiles, that they use, those heat shield tiles. And there was some leaks of propellant fluids. So instead of like making the descent in a correct manner, it started circling. So there. Do you think after watching the presentation that there will be a chance that they will actually launch one Starship, or are they going to launch multiple Starships, or what's the? It was his aim, and he did voice that goal. He said there is a window, and we might be able to achieve it and to reach that window.
Okay.
So if all goes well, there will be a successful flight
There's still hope
to
to
Mars.
actually launch. Because the recent launches have been terrible, no?
Yes, so Flight 7 and Flight 8 were explosions. And for this one, there was no explosion. So it's an improvement again. But still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. So the topic within this presentation was sort of the bigger vision and the timeline, and the current state of technology. So they showed the whole new sort of rockets, the Raptor, the latest Raptor version of those engines.
Yeah, and the size differences.
And
as well.
it was like Elon said, well, this is actually like alien technology, so good. If we show this engine to industry expert, they don't think this engine is complete because it looks so minimalistic that you cannot believe that it actually works. But it has like the biggest output like ever measured in the rocket. So they had a couple of recent breakthroughs that it talked about. They also had a couple of breakthroughs with heat shields.
Yeah.
So apparently, if you enter the atmosphere of Mars, the temperature is going to be very, very high, and it's very different than the atmosphere on Earth. So it needs to be a system that can work on both. But we're now very used to very minor, and let's say 200 rocket launches a year or 250 rocket launches a year, and SpaceX is already by far. If you look at all the load that
the payload,
payload that is being launched to orbit, SpaceX carries like 95% of that total payload.
Yeah, there was if they use this as a metric. They display this as a metric, payload to orbit.
Yeah,
and you see like the intended steps they want to make for the real deal Starship.
Yeah,
it's an insane payload.
So that is growing and growing as SpaceX is growing. So they now already have a 95% market dominance in payload to orbit. But then Elon compared SpaceX to Boeing and other big companies in let's say in aircraft building. So we have a Boeing 747, and apparently there are like 600-700 Boeing 747s being manufactured on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Guess how many Starships SpaceX is going to build a year? 1,000 Starships a year. So there
which date?
Yeah, 2033. I thought.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Within 7 years.
Yeah.
So that's equivalent. That's equivalent of 3 Starships a day. Yeah, and Elon talks about this already a long time ago, but now the factory is ready. And Kees, maybe you can pull up the pictures where Kenny and I and my dad are at the Starbase.
Wait a minute. By 2033, we have 1,000 Starships being built a year.
Reusable, fully reusable, reliable.
But also, I'm trying to make the combination with the moments that they are actually able to launch them to Mars.
Every 2.5 years.
Every 2.5 years. So the first one will be 2026.
Yep.
Then 29. Then 2032.
Yeah.
So by the third or the fourth number, 32 or 35, they will probably send 1,000. Well, they will send like 2,000 Starships at once.
Yeah. So that is going to happen. So as we say, like right now, we have a permit for one rocket and it goes.
Yeah.
But the place there at Starbase where Kenny and I visited last year, there's a big sign there that says Gateway to Mars. So that whole area in Boca Chica will be a sort of port, like a harbor of Rotterdam where all the goods are coming in. And this port will be one of the spots, the sort of airport.
There you are.
Yeah, here we are.
I love it. Yeah.
With Kenny. And latest one.
These are
here with my
these
my
are
dad.
huge. Is this the port?
Yeah, this is the port where the lounge area is, and then on the previous part,
It's a cool memory to make with your dad. This.
Yeah.
It's fucking iconic, man.
Yeah, it's really great. And so here they just had a tent, and they were building the factory, and now the factory is finished and it's state of the art. And what Elon did, he said, well, we are going to manufacture 1,000 Starships a year. And if you compare that to Boeing and all the other let's say air flight companies, that is a lot because then we manufacture most. But if we, you said, if we compare this with Tesla, we're manufacturing right now like almost 2 million cars, and those will triple in the coming years. So it's actually not a very complicated manufacturing achievement to build 3 Starships a day. That's very doable. And they laid out, and Sandy Munro also visited Elon. If you want to watch something,
still
on
need
television.
to watch that. Yeah, like it's a 3-part
It's
interview.
not so good.
Actually,
It's not so good.
No?
But it gives a little bit of an idea of
Now I understand why Demian is actually looking at the TV and not at his phone anymore.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's great.
Yeah, he has already watched every part.
Yeah. Then you have this factory is just being able to crank out Starship, which is crazy. But also what you said, your realization that you had, like, my God, they're going to launch like 2,000 Starships at once. Be reusable. So the whole thing they laid out in that
come back.
In that presentation, they laid out 2 sort of core technologies that are going to test. So the whole reusable thing is already up and running, and that cycle should be within 24 hours that they can launch a new rocket. But they're also going to launch like big Starships that can do refills for fuel along the way. So there will be a couple stations that will be launched
in the air
as well. That will be sort of stations where Starships can refill. So they will pair with each other. And Elon was joking like they're having a nice intercourse together. So that was fun. So that was being presented. But they also laid out like the whole reusability. This is like the number one thing that they
for me that's on. And that's also like coming back on why I wanted to say something positive about the money he gets and how rich he is. People are so eager to say like it's a billionaire toy because Jeff Bezos is also making rockets. Yeah, it's just the billionaires playing around with their money. They don't know what to do. But nobody realizes. Nobody realizes that like since the 70s and 80s, space exploration went like to complete shit actually.
Yeah.
And it was such an expensive thing to do. And what he managed to do is make space exploration and space travel accessible to a lot of governments and organizations that need to do with internet, surveillance, everything that makes our life pleasant. He made sure that we can do this in a more sustainable, more efficient, and a reusable way.
Affordable.
Yeah, and it's so annoying to see. Like, he's doing this for humanity and not for himself.
Ignore this nonsense stuff because, as I said, it's a crime against humanity to not inform us about.
Yeah, but I also see it as like a responsibility from our end to give this.
Of course.
Vision.
What we then do. So. The crazy thing is that, yes, there will be thousands of Starships because that's just 1 year of production. So those Starships will accumulate. Every year there will be thousands of Starships being made. And right now we say, okay, we have a scheduled launch, but those launch will be continuous. At a continuous base, you will have tens... maybe hundreds of Starships being launched at the time.
But the moment there is like we have how do you say it, the launch moment? How many days is that, or is it like multiple weeks?
No,
or is it just 1 day? Or
you're gonna reach Mars pretty quickly.
But what I mean, how long is the launch moment?
That window.
How long is the window? Is it every 2.5 years? But how long?
It's a window of roughly a day, I think, because the orbits need to align, and actually that's the logo.
Well, if it's 1 day and you have 1,000 Starships being produced every year, there will be like 1 day of 1,000 Starships going into the air at once.
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe we can ask Grok on how long that window is actually open. But in the meanwhile, we will also work on a base on the moon. That's a thing.
Well, here it's okay. The window occurs every 26 months. And that window, a typical launch window for a Mars mission, is only about 2.5 hours.
Really? Wow. Wow, that's so insane.
So how is this going to work then?
Yeah.
I cannot imagine it yet.
Well, then the
So you were talking about
then the window is shortest.
These are only the ones who are being produced, but there are also some are coming back.
Yep.
So they are coming in and going back again.
Yep.
But within 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but only already to get to Mars. That's one feat. But you all need entire infrastructure before that. So you need stations
but
where you can refuel, and then you have stations. So you have stations where you can refuel. But there's also a huge Starlink infrastructure that needs to be deployed because there's a lag of about 25 minutes between communication from Mars to Earth. So with the speed of light, because they utilize laser and lasers travels on the speed of light. That takes about 20 minutes to, let's say, I send you a WhatsApp from Mars. I'm a Martian and I want to contact with Earth with Florian on his mountain.
Elon to Earth.
Elon to Earth.
Earth to Elon.
then it will take about 20 minutes. 20 minutes.
Hello.
Yeah, like this is a good thing to show you. And like first, I'll read it out loud because if it's there, my eyes cannot read it. Establishing a self-sufficient city on Mars will require upwards of 1 million people and millions of tons of cargo to be delivered to the red planet. So that explains a huge payload and the amount of ships being made. By launching more than 10 times per day to maximize the transfer window, that opens up approximately every 26 months. And that transfer window, like the optimal window is just 2.5 hours. But let's see. The window, in essence, is a little bit longer. So you're not specifically to those bound to those 2.5 hours. So it can be a little bit longer.
Yeah, but
as
what
well.
is a little bit? Is that be specified?
The overall opportunity will last for a couple months. But the actual launch window for a specific mission is a few hours. So let's say that's 2.5 until 5 or 6 hours. So roughly a day.
Wow. So that's, I did not realize that. And that did not come very forward in the presentation, I think. So I would wonder if there are alternatives that take longer because it's the window to make it shorter.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, the only thing you can do then is having like thousands of Starships being launched a couple of times a day to get that load going.
Here you see that window.
This is the visualization, exactly.
This is Mars. Oh.
Earth.
So Mars is the white thing, and then Earth is the blue thing around. No, Mars is the red one.
Yeah, this is Mars.
There it goes. Mars, I'm coming.
Yeah, okay, but then this one already launched.
No. Next window will be open.
And the funny thing is, what he mentioned in the presentation, this is actually the logo. Here you see it. So Earth is the blue one.
Oh, they're launched. It started.
Yeah, launch
so
is there.
It's following Earth.
And now it tries to get in the sort of lane of Mars.
And this is actually the logo of Starlink.
Yeah, I know. How cool is that, huh? They have a name for this now? For this...
Something with orbit.
So,
I
Kees,
guess.
don't be late for your flight to Mars, man.
So is there a launch window from Mars to Earth as well? Is it also every 26 months, or are they able to get back as soon as they land?
They miss Earth and you fly straight to the sun. Shit.
Well, I would...
We're cooked in about 5 hours.
Or they just drop down from Mars again. So.
Yeah,
I would guess so.
No, but there are many unanswered things. So they said, like, for example, like a thing like a launch pad. So the first, to get back from Mars, you need a launch pad. But of course, the launch pad first need to be built.
Yeah, on Mars.
On Mars.
Yeah.
And they showed some visualizations of Optimus on
I've seen that.
Mars. And you see Elon thinking, as we fix that later. So it's if you think, he's also explained, like, even if you're missing like one obscure mineral that you need to survive, like vitamin C or so, we're already cooked. So there's a long list of things that needs to
be solved
and built and all that, but he doesn't think about like, well, this is like an impossibility. He just keeps on pushing forward on the technology.
It's the window is the same, 26 every 26 months, and the way of getting there is called a fuel efficient Hohmann transfer orbit. So that's the
Hohmann.
Yeah, Hohmann. So that's a name.
Okay.
Hohmann. Hohmann.
Yeah, that's what we have to trademark that.
Yeah, so that's what it's called.
Yeah.
How cool. Okay, so what did they tell?
So they talked about the progress in the technology, the skill on how they're going to deploy it, but also already sort of selling the dream of living on Mars. So he said, for the people who wants to go to Mars, this is a great opportunity for you to build a new civilization. And, if you go to Mars, you will find your own way how you want to be governed. And it's...
the Martians will decide on their own government. So if you go to Mars, you're a Martian.
A Martian. If you talked about that and you said, well, it's a very exciting new frontier for humanity. Many, and it reminds me of the difficulty of, for example, a venture that was 500 years ago going to Americas with small ships. It was just as risky, and a lot of diseases happened on board by just lack of vitamin C and all those kind of things.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it was like a 30-day boat trip from Europe to the US, and it's now also a 30-day trip to Mars. But you're just sailing into the unknown. And if you think about how entrepreneurial US became and how adventurous the people used to be, let's say, Mars is sort of next level adventurers that will feel attracted to go there. So it's interesting, and it's also very exciting to see all those visuals with Optimus walking around and seeing Optimus in the meanwhile progressing to actually doing useful tasks, because the launch pad is not going to be built by humans. It must be built by Optimus.
Yep.
So the level of how much Optimus bot needs to do in Elon's mind needs to be like insanely capable.
Did they already talk about the load that they expect to bring on the first launch?
And that first launch they're aiming for it in 2026, and I'm trying to look that up.
Can we look at this picture separately?
Definitely.
How cool is this?
It's the coolest thing ever. But
this is our first Martian. It's going to be Optimus.
It's awesome, right?
Optimus is going to decide the governance.
Yeah, and then this is also another thing that, like, cool that we're making humanoids, but we're doing it on purpose with a clear goal in mind,
Yeah, and I like how they draw the Optimus like casually looking away, like
but also
walking around cool,
casually walking in his normal suit.
And we have a couple more here actually.
What the hell is this next to it?
Spaceport.
What the hell is that?
This is an airport, but then a spaceport.
The car that you see underneath it is to transport the rockets.
Yes, so they're transporting it.
What we also see here.
And that was a brilliant thing that they explained about the chopsticks. So the chopsticks are not only designed to catch that whole thing,
but also to fit into the...
No, also to move to the launch pad, because they said in the beginning, it's
pick it up.
This thing is 140 meters high. It's a huge building that you then transport.
This one is funny. Yeah.
This is such an iconic image.
Yeah, this is with I love this one.
It's 140 meters long. And to transport the thing, this is not an easy thing to transport. You need so much specialized transport. So the brilliance in the simplicity of those chopsticks, like catching the thing and putting it back on the place where it's going to be launched again, it's like already a saving of weeks and weeks of work to make a thing reusable again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an amazing presentation. It's a must-see for people that want to be excited for the future.
Here, 10 launches from Earth per day across several sites. 200 plus tons to Leo per launch. And here I have the goals for the next 8 years. I'm gonna.
It was also
250,000 ton per transfer window.
Yeah. So it was also an amazing thing, Florian. One thing was also amazing during this presentation was.
Here the 10 launches from Earth per day across several sites.
Yeah.
So I think that launch window is more than 2.5 hours. It cannot be it should be like.
Yeah, well, we need to calculate how much tons of usage can be used.
This is also a very good graphic. So next year, the payload in tonnage will be 10 ton per ship. And that's to prove that we can get to Mars, send a minimum, like an MVP, like a minimum viable product, but then actually delivering stuff.
To maximize learning, yeah.
Yeah. And then the next window after that, they're going from 5 landers to 20 landers with 75 tons per ship.
What's a lander? That's a Starship.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in 2026, we're already going to start with 5 Starships.
Yeah.
Yes.
To send the
So
first
the first
stuff.
launch will be 5 Starships.
Yep.
Yeah.
Together with, what's the payload per ship?
10 tonnage. So
and what's 10 ton? What's 10 ton? That's like how many
10,000
kilos?
a ton is 1,000 kilograms.
The ton 1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10,000 kilograms. So what can you bring with 10,000 kilograms? That's
Well, what they say here is minimal viable vehicles demonstrate key technology needed for Mars transit and
I
landing.
cannot read it. Sorry.
Yeah, I can read it. So demonstrate key technologies needed for Mars transit and landing. So that's what they're going to do. So in 29, they have 75 tonnage per ship and they have 20 landers. And what they're then going to do is confirm resources availability, prep landing areas, deliver equipment for people.
Yeah, to put it in perspective for you, like in tonnage, like what is it? One Tesla Model 3 is roughly 2 tons. It's 2,000 kilograms.
This one, yeah.
So then
there's 10 ton per ship. So that's
every
like
ship,
five Model 3s.
5 Model 3s in weight. Yeah.
Per ship.
Yeah.
Times 5.
Yeah, but like I don't know the weight of an Optimus, but
So
you can,
when will they bring their first Cybertruck to Mars?
you can fit 2 Cybertrucks in one Starship
right now, but it's increasing.
But it's not in the goals yet.
This one is interesting. In 2030, we see resource mining and propellant acceleration. So we're actually going to mine resource then,
build the roads and the pads and habitat construction. So to make it like
optimize
livable, and that's actually that other image that you saw just the previous image. I'll put it back on the screen as well.
I like the goal as well in 2033: increase independence from Earth. That sounds like you achieve independence of Mars. We need to make Mars a fully sustainable planet where we can become independent of Earth. Florian, can you make that happen?
Also the whole idea that the whole plan is just to skip the moon. This is just
there will be a base on the moon, but just for some resource purposes, not to build a civilization.
The moon is not like not even interesting anymore.
No, because it's in the same orbit as Earth. So if something happens on Earth, then probably moon will be affected as well. We cannot build civilization there.
It gives you a grasp of the whole idea, isn't it?
Yeah, it's humans' biggest operation ever.
And we gotta thank Sawyer Merritt for like being so on top of this, because this is also.
So what do you want to show, Kees? You said I wanted to show the other.
Yes, so like this is actually
what is this?
The habitat creation.
Okay, this is Mars.
This is a city on Mars combined with a starport. So that's also, I think, a very cool visual to have.
What was also amazing was that they already did some location selection on Mars. Elon talked about not everything is.
I also have that to show, but here this is also a very cool one. This is the current, so Flight 9 that we've seen just now, 27th of May, and this is gonna be the actual height and size of the thing. The 142 meters. Like how big is the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, something in that realm. How big is the Eiffel?
But the location that you were talking about, it's called the Arcadia region.
How big is the Eiffel Tower?
I'm
250 meters, right? Something in that realm.
trying to look it up, but I can do that at the same time. But this is
I will look it up.
So you have the Arcadia region with large ice deposits, so it has access to water and make life sustainable for human beings.
Eiffel Tower, it's 325 meters.
Yeah, so
two Starships.
But that's insanely huge still.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and the daughter of Elon is actually being called Arcadia, named to the future city on Mars.
Yeah, and also I have this one for you. It's a short clip. Where is it? Please still be here.
Kees, it feels like you are spending 8 hours a day on X-Men.
Well, dude, this is the living proof of it.
Yeah.
No, there's a video.
Now I know why I'm so addicted to X.
Yeah, well,
I've missed all this information.
yeah, all that good stuff.
It's also crazy. If you haven't been on X for 5 days, you don't see that information anymore.
No.
It's gone already.
Yeah.
It's also
That's crazy. It's
kind of crazy, isn't it?
I agree with you that it has some sort of vluchtigheid, as we call it in Dutch. So it just evaporates in front of your eyes.
In front of the new news, the new information.
The new news is old news.
Yeah, here, I have it. A clip from a TED conversation in 2013. I do first need to make sure that the audio is working
Back then, when TED was still relevant.
correctly.
I remember the first days of TED Talks. Like one of the most amazing things, right?
Yeah.
It was like all these great ideas, and now it's they lost that authority.
Let me.
At a certain point, you could buy TED Talks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good busy case.
Yeah, but this is why Joe Rogan has people pulling the strings behind the scenes for him, putting everything on the screen because, you have to do a lot. No, I cannot send the audio with it because it's not connected. Sorry, so the people at home would need to look it up themselves.
But what's in this video? What you wanted to show? Maybe you can explain.
It's subtitles, so that's. Establishing a base on Mars, building that base up until it's a true multi-planet SpaceX or some combination of companies. So this is a short clip, but back in 2013, and he's already explaining what needs to happen to get us to Mars and making it happen and making it succeed.
Therefore, I'm a happy shareholder of Tesla because everything that we see right now is already announced like 5 to 10 years ago, right? So like we talked in the beginning of this episode of this hardware being installed in the cars already. And it's just obvious that it's going to happen. The only question is when.
When,
yeah, definitely.
And that's why we got this Elon time thing and the 2 weeks jokes, etc. But
it's
all completely
sort of
irrelevant.
Yeah. Okay, question. if you would have to choose FSD or reaching Mars, what do you want to see happen sooner?
Reaching Mars.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so Elon, stop wasting your time on FSD.
No, do FSD as well. Do FSD too. I want Robotaxis too. I want the Optimus bot too.
Yeah, I want everything, but he'll succeed.
Yeah, but it's all needed. It's all needed for the bigger mission.
Maybe even better question. Do you think he should stop with working for the government? Because otherwise he's not able to focus on Tesla.
No, we need more corruption, and he's super corrupt.
But are you glad he's back?
I am, yeah.
No, but do you understand my question?
Yeah, like that he's back from government, back at Tesla.
Like he wasn't working already his ass off for Tesla. And he's already been doing all this work already 10 years ago.
He was, but then still, like you need to be preoccupied with something, so you're not spending your time as efficiently as you can, and that's why he also made the statement.
No, but what I mean is that
push.
He's not working on FSD anymore because FSD is already solved.
Yeah, and
he was working on FSD 10 years ago already by implementing the hardware already. Because he knew if I don't put the hardware in the cars, FSD won't be solved 7 years down the road.
He solved it in his mind already, and his team is working on getting it like on the roads.
Yeah, and he still needed to convince his own management team that no, we're not going to focus on this. We're going to focus on full autonomy. It will be done. Yeah, it will happen.
His life must be hell sometimes, like talking to such a big amount of dumb fucks that don't believe in what he's saying.
And how calm he stays
in
every interview. And he's been explaining it all over and over and over and over.
Do I need to explain this again?
No, but this is actually one of... do you know that very old video where Elon was invited in a sort of a progressive room of people from the oil industry, and Elon is sort of very charmingly dismantling and telling them like this whole industry will be, not relevant anymore within 25 years. But there you really see how good of a communicator Elon is, because he's really able to paint a picture in sometimes a very childish way where you see like, wow, this is the cool toy that we have. But he's able to first paint that picture and then reason back for there. Like, this is actually how we're going to do it. Yeah. And then you listen to the guy and then you think, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. This is going to happen. Why has not anybody done this before? And then it's such it's almost like an experience where you feel like suddenly being enlightened of a path that appears in front of you that you didn't know exists, suddenly is there. And Elon is sort of the master in doing that. And then actually, because talking in 2013 about building a civilization on Mars, you know how crazy that was. And even friends of Elon said like, that this Elon, I don't know what you have been
smoking
or doing.
Yeah.
But we strongly, can you imagine like your 5 best friends sitting in front of you?
Yeah, not believing.
And like saying, and friends that are knowing you for years, know your track record as an entrepreneur, and saying like, Florian, we highly say don't do this because you're going to ruin all your money. This is not going to work. And one of the friends even showed the show reel of all rocket launches that failed over the last 50 years. And Elon just kept on going. And I still to this day, following Elon for more than 10 years, I'm still surprised how he can do that. So we talked about it in the podcast with Next Level Human about first principle reasoning. He's so convinced of his homework in the beginning, talking to very smart people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Know that it's possible from a physics standpoint, and it's just a matter of time of getting there, and then working towards
Is it feasible? Yes. Is it possible? Doable? Yes. Okay, then make the plan, and then making sure that all the steps,
ignore all the noise and feedback and pushback. Yeah. Because if you have like very smart people, the people that are working for Tesla, or SpaceX are the top engineers. They can work everywhere in the world. So they can work at Google, Microsoft, whatever. If they raise their hand, they got a job where they get maybe even more money being paid than Tesla. So it's not uncommon for people within Tesla to just say, Elon, this idea of you doubling down on FSD, I'm out, goodbye. So a lot of people are actually leaving because of the missions are being too crazy in their eyes. So that's and then obviously the other ones, the smart ones that has been doing the reasoning themselves, they stay on board and they stay forever. So they don't, like a guy like Ashok, he just stays in the team and he's very loyal to that. So Elon people underestimate how many super loyal people Elon has around him. Maybe that's a group of 5,000 brilliant people that are working their asses off because they work for Elon
and helping him making it as successful as it is right now.
Yeah, making it happen. And all those 5,000 people within a day they can get a offer with one of the other big companies where they can. Do you have
any other things that we want to show from that presentation? Because you were in such good energy searching for them on the Sawyer.
Yeah, but it was a lot, definitely. But I think it's difficult finding him. Like Sawyer has a lot of stuff out there, but nothing is like marked.
Maybe we can do some homework for the next episode and get.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, because also like with the rest of the podcast, we're not only talking about Tesla, it's Doge,
Tesla
everything.
to Mars, yeah.
It's everything surrounding
Tesla to Mars.
Living in the Mosconomy.
I also learned, I've been on X today, so I got the new news, not the old news like this, that he is also going to do a presentation update about Neuralink after they fundraised 600 million. So
cool.
That will maybe be even more crazier than this one.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, sometimes when I talk about this whole stuff, Elon, etc., you're just Elon fanboy. My next answer will be on that. Yeah, I walk around with a Neuralink chip connected to XAI, driving in a Cybertruck, wearing a Doge cap. How do you mean I'm a fanboy? That will be fun, right?
Having Optimus next to you.
Huh?
Having a legion of Optimus working for you.
Working for me. Being on Mars.
Booking your flight to Mars.
Why should I be a fanboy then?
Yeah.
That's funny, right?
You're not a fanboy.
While streaming all your endeavors on X.
On Starlink.
through Starlink. to the other side of the galaxy.
Yeah,
it takes some hours, but
I'm meeting Florian in a bit. He's bragging to me that he got 4 Neuralink chips installed in his head. That will be fun, like whole.
He just learned all languages on Earth within an hour.
Yeah. Do you know that you've all seen The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Then he needs to learn a new fighting skill. And it's like learned, and he's like in like a virtual dojo, being super successful, and then he just masters this new sick martial art.
What will be the first skill you no? You will master.
Don't test me. Don't.
Yeah, I picture it instantly.
If you can choose like all the things you can do in the world, Kate, what will be your number
thanks
one?
to Florian, I already know and found out where the on and off switch of an Optimus is. So that's one thing that I wanted to learn.
No, but think freely. You're free now. You can install all the capabilities that you want. Okay, he's taking too long. What are you, Florian?
Ooh. I would love to download the brain of Elon.
Okay.
For example. How cool would that be? That he opens his mind to the rest of the world.
Open source his brain.
I would
upload. Wow, he's thinking. Well, I mean, he's thinking about this terawatt of compute that he wants to.
Would be amazing if you can do that just for a couple of hours. Let's say, okay, right now I'm going to have 2 hours where I can be in the brain of Florian. So, we sort of sync up.
Yeah, exactly.
We sync up
And then
our brains.
a week later, he's in like this bag.
I guess well.
In a mental hospital.
Yeah, or having a laughing.
Did you download Florian's brain? No.
Oh no, you didn't.
or having like that moment that brain kicks in, you start being on the floor crying, laughing all the time. What is going on with this fucking brain, man?
Yeah,
that would be so
must
fun.
be tough. But I think on that bombshell, let's just wrap up for today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week already.
Definitely. Same here. And thanks for tuning in again, and see you again next week.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, guys.